So hello everyone, I'm a lecturer in public health from Macquarie University here in Sydney, and today I'll talk with Ben from Oz Harvest, who's Business Development Manager. So Oz Harvest already doing an amazing job in obviously addressing poverty issues and in particular obviously food security, insecurity issues. But I would like to ask a few questions in regards of COVID-19 and what impact it had on your organization, and probably thinking about particular maybe target groups that maybe increased your services as well, please.
So it was quite massive. For the quick background, Oz Harvest predominantly food rescue. So we've got about 70 vans around the country where we'll go to food retailers, collect food, and then pass that on to other businesses, so all charities, organisations that pass on to the end user. And the first, I would say, 2 months of COVID could not have been more dynamic. It was as restrictions came in and everyone was trying to understand their obligations and what safety processes they had to put into place. Basically, our food volumes that we were collecting dropped by 50%. So you can imagine 70 vans around the country, the amount of charities that we go to and the amount of people that food gets passed on to. That's a massive impact for 1 week, 50% of your food to just be cut in half. And then there was a bit of a journey beyond that. So very quickly, it was great to see everyone pull together, because some of our major retailer partners came on board and started to look to just top up our food with purchased food, which is a new thing for us. We very much so sort of are driven by the environmental side and wanting to reduce food waste. But quickly as an organisation, we had to make sure that we were maintaining our obligation to people in need in the community, and that food relief became the absolute clear priority, and we had to work with people to purchase food to top up what we were seeing as a lack of. But then, yeah, it sort of took about a 6-week period to level out to a new normal, I feel, where depending on our different donor groups, some sort of spiked when they had to shut down cafes, hospital, hotels, those sorts of places. Donations from those sorts of organisations spiked. So we're getting a different type of food, a lot of different type of food quite early. But then the majority of where we get our food, supermarkets, obviously this was back when supermarkets were very hard hit. There was panic buying, and they were just doing what they could to keep operating at a sensible level. Those donations, which normally make up the majority of our food source, took a while to scale back. So that's on the food side. Maybe just on the need side, so in terms of the topic that you talked about, Anti-Poverty Week, we did see impact pretty much immediately. So again, charities had to close as well. So at the height of COVID, we probably saw about 30% of the agencies that we normally go to, charities that hand on that food, they had to close because they felt that they had to, or just because they weren't sure about how they could operate safely. That obviously puts an increased load on the 70% remaining. Some of them had to scale up. Quickly and slowly, we saw new charities pop up. And then just that whole, you can imagine that across the nation, across all the communities that we all live in, that's really a big impact. And then seeing if that balances out in like an even geographic spread or not. It might happen more in some locations and less in others. It took a fair few weeks for that to sort of level out, and we as an organisation did pick up a little bit more direct handouts to individuals. So we did a few pop-up hamper hubs, things like that. When we suspected that there was some target demographics that might have been getting missed. International students was probably the big one that most people are aware of. But there was this whole process that the other major food relief providers in the sector, like Food Bank and Second Bite, all did fairly similar things to try and make sure that need was being met.
So what do you think, what was the impact of your response?
Yeah, I could get stats if you're interested. We did run some surveys, and I can sort of show stats and provide that afterwards if you like. But we really did see, we felt like we were meeting the need that was there. So as an example, we were doing quite good surveys at the pop-up hubs for international students. And we were asking them questions around, have they had to seek food support before or had they not? And it was a large percentage, I think it was over 60%, had not had to seek food relief support before. So that thought of being someone and not knowing how to be on a food queue, like where do you seek support for food, all that sort of thing. It felt like it was hitting that need of people that wouldn't know how to engage with these sorts of relief services otherwise. Our food output actually increased. So despite the food volumes dropping, as an example, in Melbourne, the biggest program that they focused on were food hampers, so pre-packaged hampers. Most of what we do is sort of like raw ingredients, pass that on to charities, and then they either cook it or make their own hampers or just hand it out as ingredients. To be able to sort of scale the operation and get more food out on a big scalable level, we took on to pack nutrition balanced hampers ourselves. And in our Melbourne office, our food output increased by 50% for, I think, the first couple of months. So it was a big scale up, which obviously took a lot more money and all of the background workings. But seeing that amount of food going out and it going, it's not like we didn't have anywhere to take this food. It was going and it was very much so needed. Those sorts of numbers speak for themselves, that you could really see that impact as it's going out. In terms of trying to get academic on that and to really sort of quantitatively understand the impact that we're having, because it has been so dynamic, we and the other organisations have been trying to survey and to do all of that check-in with the sector as much as we can. But it really was, for the first few months, so dynamic that no matter what surveys you did, it would just change quite significantly the next week. I was talking before about the number of agency closures, and that was flip-flopping all over the place. Sometimes it was 10%, sometimes it was 30%, and it was hard to get a quantitative assessment that you would sort of be able to rely on. That's starting to change now. Now that the dust has settled, there is a new normal. We've just run the biggest survey that we've ever run, and we're processing the results now, but we'll be able to dive into what that new normal is a bit more. Food Bank are sort of the sector leaders on this sort of assessment. They do their Food Bank Hunger Report each year, and they've been doing pulse reports each month. And we're just about to release, even this week, I think, the Food Bank Hunger Report. So we're starting to see, in a quantitative way, those changes in how much of an increased need there is out there. And then we can look at the amount of food that we've got going out there to see that impact in a quite real way.
Excellent. Well, it's good to hear. And I'm sure, as I said, probably every year, when we look at your reports, definitely we can see how much support and help you provided. So I'm obviously not surprised that it was a huge impact. So obviously there was lots of learning, I guess, lessons from this process as well. So could you tell us more about what lessons have you learned, and who or what else could you have made a difference in either in this target group that you talked about, international students, or in general?
It's I think there's just like I would like this interview to go for about 3 hours because there's just been so many different ways. To give you one tangible example, a program that I haven't spoken about yet is our mobile market. So here in New South Wales, we set up like basically like a large truck that would go out into regional New South Wales, purchasing food along the way. So trying to buy local and then hand that food out to people in need locally, trying to stimulate the economy, trying to get the food to people that needed it. Things like that were just a big learning for us. There's obviously support networks out there in these regional centres already. So we had to, as an organisation, do a lot of research about what charities are already out there. Is there a need? Is there a way that we can support them just do what they already do in a better way? Or is the model for us to make our own program and do these tours and sort of hand out directly? Is there a need for that as well? We found that there has been a need, and then just seeing the impact of that on the ground, it's actually it's so many-fold. It's not even just the food that you're handing out to people. As I said, it's that economic benefit from buying locally and then stimulating those stores. And then we've also tried to partner with local organisations when we've gone out there, and then hearing some of the interactions that they have with their local community, where us sort of passing through and making it almost like it's a bit of an event, like they know in the week leading up, the Oz Harvest stand will be coming, so it's people sort of converge when it comes down there. And then some of those charities that were on the ground that were helping us with the program, they would tell us things like, oh, it's so great that we've been able to see these people come out to seek food relief, because we've been trying to get in contact with these people for a month or for 2 months, because we suspected they were in need, but for whatever reason, they haven't come out of the woodwork. So all of these different layers of learnings, which can only happen by really diving into it, by really learning each and every single community as we go around the route that this van has taken. That's starting this program from scratch. The whole program has been a learning, and then that's just one of the programs that we run. Like I could speak about learnings across all of them, but yeah, it depends on how much time you have.
I think it's great to hear like all those experiences, what you learned, and obviously, like I said, all the support that you do. And so I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm sure, as you said, there will be probably we can continue and talk about this quite a lot, but at least we've got the snapshot of what you do and how you dealt with all the COVID situation and help people in food relief, which is amazing to hear.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, no problem.